Very recently, I've been making a couple of videos and I've been showcasing this kinetic blast that I've been building. And you guys have been very vocal about knowing or wanting to know what it is, how it plays, what's going on. And today I want to spend the time talking about it. But before we get into too much of the ins and outs of the build, I figured let's showcase the build. Now, this build is really powerful. It has really insane screen coverage, and I've been using it for a very wide variety of different farming strategies. Today for this video, we're going to be doing something that I've done on stream before. I've made videos about, and I'm going to just showcase an 80% delirious 8 modded Deli Map. Now, this city square map is going to have double gigantic rogues. It's going to have 4,000 wild withers, and it's going to have a Titanic scarab. We're also going to be running this map with the typical rogue Exile Atlas tree, which I've made videos about before. And we're going to just be juicing it up to the max. I figured the best way to showcase and talk about the build is to run a really hard map. Now, I'm going to put this out there. This build is heavily reliant on headhunter buffs. It can do things. It can clear mobs. It can kill things. But sometimes without headhunter buffs, it's a little weak. Now, you're going to see right away, we could just pretty much shoot all over the screen. And we're just going to, hop around our map. We're going to pick up the rogue exiles very quickly or very soon. We're just going to make sure that we get some headhunter buffs going. And you can see for an 80% delirious map, well, outside of the couple of rogue exiles at the start of the screen, we're just pretty much cutting through. Yo, thanks for the sub, man. We're pretty much just cutting through everything. And, we're going right through all of the content. No problem at all. We've got some headhunter buffs. We're going to circle back in a minute. We're going to go get those rogue exiles. We're grabbing these guys. We're grabbing that. I grabbed the wrong altar, but that's fine. And overall, you see the map in itself is really straightforward. As far as single target goes for something like Kosis, you're going to need headhunter buffs. With headhunter buffs, you can kill Kosis. This is an 80% deli Kosis. You see right away, he's just taking a bajillions of damage. We took a little bit of a hit there. We are, in fact, not immortal. Oh, I didn't mean to click that, but I guess we're doing the ritual. We are, in fact, not immortal. We can indeed die. You will probably die a lot on this character. This character is on a Deadeye, and well, lo and behold, it's in the name, Deadeyes. So I mean, I would just expect every so often to die. But you can see once you get everything up and running, you get nice little bounces on the kinetic blast. That Kosis is massive, my God. And the rest of the map, easy peasy. As far as other content this build can do, I have done the tier 17 delirious farming. I would do it for this video. I don't have it currently set up, but we will indeed run a tier 17 map. I'll show you guys a tier 17 map, and you guys can get a good feel for how that map looks and goes. And then it's the rogue exile right here. You can see he's frozen and stuck in place. Not even a threat. And this is, like, once again, 80% delirious. And you can see these rogue exiles are literally just frozen in place. These rares just frozen in place. If it can be frozen, this build will freeze it. See, once again, there you go. Rogue exiles frozen in place. Nothing to even worry about. These are tormented, ghosted, whole 9 yards rogue exiles. Here's the map boss. Run around, double check, make sure we don't accidentally get a mage blood. No ritual altar on the boss here. Unfortunate. We grab that. We check this. Double check that for no tier 1s, tier 0s, and then I'm going to come over here. I believe there was a rogue exile right here. Kill this rogue exile really quick. Hit this, and then pray we don't stand in degens. You will die to degens. And then we just kind of come over here and blast this whole map. There's Kosis again. Make sure he doesn't kill us. There you go. There's 2 more rituals. Double check there's nothing good there. Come around here, grab this ritual here. Okay, looks good. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. Very straightforward, very simple. Kosis spawn there. Kosis is dead, looking good. There should be 1 more. Is it over here? There it is. Grab this, and this is the final one, and then we can go talk about the overall build and how it's working. Now you see this 80% deli map, 4 minutes in and out, not a problem at all. Take it probably a little bit longer, like another 30-40 seconds to run around and loot, but I'll save you guys the time and loot it later. There's the Kosis, there's the Omni. I guess this one had them both. And there you go, man. 80% Deli, man. Done. Just like that. Double check this. Make sure there's no power charge rings. Anything really good. And then let's get out of here and talk about the build and how this build came to life and what's going on. Well, this build actually started with a very simple topic and very interesting video. And I'm going to show you guys that video. I'm going to include a link for it down below in the description. But our good friend Palsteron made a video about the Kinetic Blast Screen Destroyer about 4 days ago. And he's been playing this build and showcasing this build and has done an absolutely fantastic job. The biggest difference between what Palsteron's doing and what we're doing here today is Palsteron is playing it on a Templar. He is doing the whole mana stacking, Indigoms, you know, big mana, big damage plan. And that's not what we're doing today. What we're doing today is we're doing something a little bit different. Essentially, what happened was Palsteron made this video. My buddy MB saw it from his buddy showed him the video. They were talking about it. MB showed it to my buddy Sax, and MB and Sax pretty much just got to brewing. The idea was we've already played a stacker this league. We've played a power charge stacker. We played Penance Brand of Dissipation. And, you know, we wanted to do something a little bit different. We wanted to do IIR or increase item rarity. We wanted to play Deadeye in some sort of bow type character. And we just wanted to play a character that can run around with Headhunter, blow up a whole screen, and not really worry. We didn't want to worry about frenzy charges breaking the build, endurance charges. We didn't want to worry about excess mana. We didn't want to worry about any of that. And we just wanted to come around and get a really cool Deadeye build. So when we saw that, or Sax saw that, him and MB sat down and they put their heads together and they started working on what you see here today. Now, the version that I'm playing it is not the upright, min-max, crazy, hootenannies and whatanannies version. You can actually see if you go to POE Ninja, come on over to builds, click on Deadeye and search Kinetic Blast. You can see that originally this list of now 36 characters as of this morning was only 5. It was me, Sax, MB, my buddy Bubbles, and my buddy SnugglyRhino, and a bunch of people have hopped on the train. This has been insane. I have friends like my buddy Jingles. He's down here. He's playing it with a little bit more budget gear. He's using an Eyes of the Great Wolf, a nice weapon, and some budget gear, and he's clearing tier 17s no problem. Then you have Luca up here, or my buddy Dap, and he's playing it just completely min-maxed out of his mind. He's got this beautiful weapon him and his team crafted. They're playing the utmost. And then you have people like me and my buddy Sax who are playing it just completely different. This build has a lot of build variety. You can do a lot of different things. You can even see here, this gentleman here is playing it with Grace of the Goddess. Essentially, Kinetic Blast has a lot of different lines that you can take, and if you're looking for build ideas, I really suggest coming here, just like I did, and taking a look at some of the people on this list, and you'll get different ideas. But today I'm going to talk to you about the way that me, Sax, MB, Snuggly, and Bubbles have started to play. You can see on the list right here, there's my buddy MB, here's my buddy Will, there's me, there's my buddy Sax, there's Snuggly, and then Bubbles is down here. And we've all been able to just, you know, play the build and have a really, really good time with it. Now, the build in itself is really straightforward. You are going to get a basic Fizz wand. You want to either recombinate a Fizz wand or search trade for a nice base Fizz wand. Essentially, wands with physical damage will run you anywhere from what looks to be 30 divs for a 550, 40 divs, all the way to mirror tier. You can actually get various different wands at various different levels. And it came to the point where like me and my friends were playing this build, and as soon as we started playing it and we were playing with a basic Fizz weapon, this one, we decided that as a group, we wanted to go out and craft a mirror tier weapon because one didn't exist at the time. And thanks to the help of you, we've managed to make a very interesting, you know, mirror tier weapon. It does indeed have tier 2 spell damage. It does indeed have tier 2% Fizz, but it is a creation amongst the community. It's a creation amongst my friends, and we are very happy. If you are indeed looking for something a little bit bigger, a little bit harder hitting, there are other weapons out there. It seems that making this weapon has inspired other people to make other types of weapons. And a lot of you guys have come to me and said, hey man, I've started synthesizing weapons. I've started making things. This has been awesome. We've created different things. And you can see here, these guys made it with Explode. The coolest thing about Path of Exile is when you see an idea and you shape it and you build it and you get to create it the way that you want to play it. The beauty is in the art of making the item to the standards and likings that you have. And this build has allowed me and my friends to do exactly that and has encouraged other people to do the same thing. I've seen players take this build and do all kinds of different things in, you know, some of them are just like not even playing Deadeye. I mean, I've been talking to a gentleman who managed to get the character name God, and his character is just an absolute work of art. He too even went out and made his own synthesized weapon that is absolutely positively beautiful. And I look at all the people playing this, and I look at all the people that are doing cool things with it, and like, honestly, just taking a minute to say thanks, Palsteron, for putting out the video that started this whole chain reaction. If you didn't do that, none of us would be playing this. But let's get back into the gear and let's stop sidetracking. So you pretty much need a fizz-based weapon. Ideally, you would have 2 fizz-based weapons because you want to have the Tormented mod. The Tormented Spirit mod gives you more cast speed, more movement speed, more attack speed, the Torment Spirit buff, and is very good. If you can't afford 2 Tormented weapons, I did originally start with a shield like this. This shield I bought fractured, and then I just used greed essences or int essences until I hit max life, and then I veiled orb for double damage. If any gear that you see here today in this video is a little confusing, you can't find it, you don't know how to make it, leave a comment down below. I'll be more than happy to give you the steps for each of the pieces of gear that you guys need help with. You guys are more than welcome to stop by the Rumble, the YouTube, the Twitch, wherever you guys find and consume my content. Leave a comment, ask questions, and I'll gladly help you get the gear together and figure out the best way to make it or buy it or craft it. So if you don't have 2 weapons, 1 weapon and a shield will get the job done. This helmet I sell fractured for increased item rarity of, you know, by slaying or unique enemies. You don't need this. This is just extra. We wanted to do item rarity farming, and that's how we did it. We fractured a helmet. We hit it with a loathing essence until it got some chaos resistance. You can even see my helmet right now. It's not even divine perfect. You know, very basic, very, very simple, you know, very down to earth. The helmet has our purity of elements in it. We're using this to get ailment immunity. Other people are doing Storm Shroud. Other people are doing the suppression jewel. That's name slips my mind. But we chose to do purity of elements. We're pairing it with Enlighten 4, a Hatred, and a Haste. Haste is giving us that beautiful attack speed. Hatred's giving us that extra cold damage. And we're converting all of our damage to cold. So extra fizz as extra cold is really, really, really nice. The Simplex amulet that we're using, very straightforward. We just hit it with with crit essences until we got item rarity. Now, majority of the bulk cost is the mirror wand if you choose to do it, and the Simplex amulet. If you choose to do a regular wand, it will not be very expensive. If you choose to do a Simplex amulet, it will be very expensive. But I don't think you need to do a Simplex amulet, and I'm going to take a minute and showcase this. My buddy Will is actually using an amulet like this that he recommed together. It is just int rarity crit multi life. That's it. Very straightforward, very down to earth. That's all you need. You just need crit multi and rarity if you want to do rarity. Anything else is beautiful. This build has a lot of int issues, so Will solved it by putting it on his amulet. I solve it by getting it on the weapon with the veiled mod. So you have options. This is why I encourage you to go over POE Ninja and take a look at all the different people doing all different techs for this build. The ring, we're using a Venters. I think Venters is really cool. It gives us RMR, which we could solve by fixing the helmet, making the helmet better. It gives us a ton of resistance, a ton of rarity, some life, and we pair it nicely with a Calandra's Touch ring. The body armor, once again, the body armor has item rarity on it and attack crit. Essentially, I took an elevated shaping armor and an elevated hunter's armor for crit, and I slammed them together. When I slammed them together, the end result was this. I didn't care about the extra life. I didn't care about the max life. I just took 2 body armors, slammed them together. This is what popped out, and I was thrilled. The body armor, you do want the critical strike chance. It's nice. It gives you extra crit. You can get it in other places like a Hatred Watcher's Eye, but the crit is really, really nice. You can also do, like some people I see are doing power charge stacking where they're linking Tornado to power charge, and you can do all that. Our body armor also doesn't need the increased explicit life modifiers. When I bought the base, it had it on it. I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm just going to use it. Excuse me. Our body armor has our 2120 kinetic blast of clustering. We are using clustering because it clusters nicely, and that gives us that beautiful, beautiful spread. We're pairing it with Awaken LE5. This gives us reflect immunity. We have Awaken Fork, increased critical damage, returning proj, and vicious projectiles. Now, if you're going to say, why are you using returning proj and you're not using Nimbus, is because we want to make sure that this tornado that we're summoning from Spellslinger we can aim at the tornado. If we use Nimbus and the projectiles go in all different directions, it makes it really hard to control and cluster our shots for maximum damage. Our gloves, once again, very straightforward. I fractured a temple mod gloves. I have attack speed and spell suppression. I just use essences until I saw spell suppression. And then I Eldritch Currency for life and the prefixes. Ideally, this would have life and rarity, but when I got tier 3 life, I was running out of money at the time and I just left it alone. You do have to use Eater of Worlds and get the Fizz damage converted to cold up to 25%. And then the rage on hit, you can scale it higher to get 2 rage on hit, but we left it alone at 1. Our gloves have the Spell Slinger, which you just saw. It is tied with an Enlighten, a Tornado, and our Precision. Essentially, we are summoning a Tornado and we're bouncing our Kinetic Blast off the Tornado, and that's giving us that beautiful coverage. Headhunter speaks for itself. Headhunter, we kill a rare mob, we steal all of its buffs, and we get to be completely crazy. Our boots, just fractured spell suppression boots. We used Chaos Essence, Essence of Envy until we hit item rarity. The prefixes, we just Veiled Orbed for movement speed and onslaught. Crafted on life, bada bing, bada boom. The implicits, I would like to eventually get higher action speed, but it's kind of like whatever at this point. In our boots, we have a mark on hit, an enhanced support, a life tap support, and a sniper's mark. This just gives us more projectile damage. Our weapons, I forgot to mention, have a life tap, a frenzy, and a culling strike. The frenzy is so that you can culling strike big enemies. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. Also, it lets you get frenzy charges. And then in our other weapon, we have a Sigil of Power, a Flame Dash, and a Blood Rage. Sigil of Power just gives us more damage. And then we have Blood Rage that gives us more attack speed. So we can just do this, and then we can just pretty much go. Well, you need mana to cast Sigil of Power. The longer you stand in the Sigil of Power, the more damage that you'll do. Our flask, we have a Progenitus so that we stay alive. A Bottle of Faith for more crit and damage and regen. We have a Gold Flask for rarity farming. We have a Jade Flask for reduced effect of curses and increased effect so that we're curse immune during flask effect. And we have a ton of evasion rating and movement speed here. We're getting onslaught from our boots. We're getting phasing from our Watcher's Eye. Moving on over to the tree, we take Deadeye. Depending on what map you do, you probably want Far Shot. I have Ricochet. I've been doing a lot of tight knit maps. I really enjoy bouncing my projectiles off the wall, but most people will take Far Shot and they'll spec into projectile damage here, Far Shot here, projectile damage here, and endless munitions here. I've been playing it with Ricochet. Odds are it's probably a lot better with Far Shot. We take Tailwind because Tailwind is fantastic. It speaks for itself. It gives us 8% increased action speed, and we're taking Focal Point for 75% increased effect of our mark, 25% less damage taken from other enemies near your marked enemies. Focal Point is just massive damage, and you can't, you just can't beat it. The rest of the tree is pretty straightforward. We come over here for a Thread of Hope. I got Corrupted Blood on the Thread of Hope here. It was the cheapest Corrupted Blood option. I think I paid like 10 divs for this. It's probably a little bit more right now. It's a lot more right now. There's a lot more right now. This was the cheapest option. I paid 10 divs for this at the time. We use our Thread of Hope and get a bunch of awesome points in here. We come on over to here. We have a large cluster with Force Multiplier, Iron Breaker, and Master the Fundamentals. This just gives you double damage and fizz, and this just gives you more damage. We have a medium cluster here for Magnifier for more area of effect and crit multi, and pressure points for just double damage, critical strike chance. Our Forbidden Flame and Flesh combo is Oath of Winter. We are stealing this from Warden. At the time of recording, this pair is 5 divs for the blue side, and it is 12 divs for the red side. I've seen this pair spike all the way to 100, and I've seen it come all the way down to 8 divs for the pair. This pair is very volatile. Some people go nuts, some people don't go nuts. Other options include Oath of Spring for just more damage. You could do Oath of Spring. I see a lot of these guys on POE Ninja with Oath of Spring, and they're just getting tons of damage, and you could stack up the shock effect really high, really fast. I think Oath of Spring right now is like 100 divs for the pair. I ain't paying 100 divs for the pair. I personally like freezing things, and as a good friend of mine, Chronic Painless, would say, the best defense is the best freeze fence, and I am personally a huge fan of freeze. You saw in that last map, we froze everything. It was all completely frozen, and that feels to me fantastic. Moving on over here, we have a Lethal Pride. This Lethal Pride, we do not care about warriors under boss. We don't care who it's under. We're not taking the node. It doesn't matter. The Lethal Pride that I have, at the time when I bought it and it existed, it was like 40 divs, and it gives me a bunch of double damage. There's a couple people offline for 60, 70, and 90. I've seen this, the exact Watchers or Lethal Pride, as low as 20 divs. I've seen it as high as 100, 200, 300 divs. This one is just giving me some double damage and intimidate. If you are looking for a lethal pride and you don't know where to go, I'm going to include for you guys a timeless jewel calculator. You can do this in POB. I'm not very proficient in POB, but you can do this inside of POB. But essentially, this website will allow you to click on the node that you want here, come down here, select lethal pride. The conqueror doesn't matter, and then we can select their stats. So we're essentially going to look for double damage, and we're going to look for intimidate, and then we're going to deselect all of the notables on this tree. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click all of the ones that we know that we use. So I'm going to move this off my screen for a second, and I'm going to click on all the ones that we know we use. So we're going to do this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. This is in the list. 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 Right? Is that everything? Okay. So we've clicked all the ones that we know that we're using. We're going to select double damage to 2. We're going to select this to 1, and then we're going to hit search. Essentially what this is going to do is this is going to bring up all of the different options. This is the one that I'm using right now. And I can press on this trade button. It'll load me the trade. I can come over here. I can hit show filter. I could select my count. I could do it like this and then hit search, and then I could see all of the options that are available. If this one is out of budget and you want to say something like triple double damage intimidate, I do the same thing. I press trade. I come down here. I select all of my options and I hit search. There you go. There's one for 20, one for 30, and you can really spend some time fine tuning what you're searching for. I'll include a link for this as well down below. Everything else on the tree, extremely straightforward. Fizz damage converted to cold here. We take monsters have elemental resistance inverted here. We have a bunch of double damage from this. We have intimidate. We have a forbidden flame and flesh. We have a mark mastery. This mark mastery, depending on what you're doing, can change. I really like marked enemies cannot regenerate life. Some of my friends like marked enemies can't deal critical damage. Some people like gain a frenzy charge when you hit a marked enemy. There's flexibility here depending on the map that you're doing. Also, there's flexibility here. If you manage to get the fizz converted to cold somewhere else, you can actually take enemies permanently take 5% increased damage each second they've been frozen, and that's really cool too. As far as other thing goes, we have an unnatural instinct here for all of these small nodes. All of these small nodes are absolutely bonkers. We get in reservation mastery up here. We have influence up here. We have a watcher's eye. My personal watcher's eye is fizz converted to hatred, phasing while having haste, and gain a flash charge with precision. I like this watcher's eye a lot. It gives me phasing to go through things. It gives me flash charges with precision. It gives me hatred, physical convert. There are a ton of options. If you have convert elsewhere, you don't need convert on your watcher's eye. You can get attack speed with precision. You can get crit multi with precision. You can get crit multi with hatred. You can get crit chance with hatred. You can get cold damage with hatred. You can get the flask with precision. There's so many different options that you could really explore. Me personally, I wanted to have infinite flash charges all of the time. I like this mod a lot. I wanted a source of phasing. I like having phasing. And the fizz convert really helps. I can actually, like I said, put fizz convert on my gloves and do a veiled orb on my gloves when I get around to it and change up the watcher's eye. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. And then lastly, we take this wheel up here. This gives us our power charges here. If you tie your tornado with power charges, you don't need this. And then we have wand attacks, fire additional projectile. Otherwise, the tree in itself is extremely straightforward and gets the job done. Now, in terms of other things, when I'm playing this build, I can do tier 17 maps very easily, hands down, not a problem. The only thing that kind of sucks about tier 17 maps and playing on this build is if you don't have enough headhunter buffs or the boss takes too long, killing the boss sometimes can be a little bit of a problem. But that's any tier 17 headhunter build. Usually though, if you run Fortress, actually let's do it on Fortress. Usually if you run Fortress, you are indeed able to kill the boss relatively quickly. There shouldn't be any problems. And this map's actually rolled how we want it. This has 160% more maps. This is beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna do this one. So yeah, with headhunter buffs, and especially a boss like Fortress, you can go in, blow up the boss, no problem, in and out, easy peasy. So we'll do tier 17 to end this out and round this out. We're going to come over here. We're going to drop in our scarabs. We're going to grab this. We're going to grab this, this, and this. Okay, so we have a nice, big, juicy map with delirium on it. We're going to put in the right tree to do our tier 17 farm. We're going to throw in additional shrines, and I'll show you guys what a tier 17 map looks like. And they're not very scary at all. you know, especially with this build, it's awesome. You know, you just, as soon as you get some headhunter buffs, you just start rolling, man. Yeah, farm us some maps, kill that guy, no problem. Look how far this chains, man. Ah, beautiful. I love this, dude. This build has been out of this world, so fun. Okay, we're gonna come back and loot at the end so we don't lose our headhunter buffs. Okay. Okay. We're gonna grab that trade too in a minute, but we have headhunter buffs right now. Let's tell him 1 second. Come over here. We'll grab the boss really quick. And you see, this is the typical problem with tier 17 bosses. You gotta wait for that. If you had Oath of Spring, like I had mentioned earlier, you would probably nuke down the boss a lot faster, and you, oh god, and you wouldn't have anywhere near the slow DPS that we have now. But you see, now the tornado's on top of the boss. Easy peasy, the boss is dead. But Oath of Spring would indeed make your clear speed a lot quicker and make things really, really smooth, especially in a tight arena like that with boss damage. Now, before anybody says anything, this is not meant to be a bossing build. This is a map clearing build that is utilizing Headhunter and just can, you know, every so often get really lucky and clear some bosses. Oh, this, we'll grab this, come over here. Make sure we killed everything over there. Don't want to leave any of these beautiful maps behind. Yeah, I'll never buy it. As long as this strategy stays in the game, I'll never buy 8 modern maps again. This is out of this world. You literally can't beat this. Okay. Come over here, shoot all this. Grab the shrine. Grab the other shrine. Check to make sure it's not Headhunter. And this build, especially on Fortress, you just can't beat it. You just can't. It's like, look how far away you can hit, dude. There's a map up there. You just can't beat that. You honestly just can't beat that. Okay, come over here. Grab all these. We missed a wildwood at the beginning of the map. Why is the wildwood all the way over there? That's crazy. Well, I guess we missed the wildwood. Too late now. And there you go. That is indeed the entire map. Oh, I love playing this build. I really, really, really do. It is just so fun. I encourage you guys, if you're interested, if you want to try it, give it a whirl. If you have any questions or something seems scary, or you don't know what to do, by all means, leave a comment down below. Stop by the live stream, come by the Discord. I would be absolutely more than happy to help explain anything that I might have the answer to. And if I don't know, my buddy MB knows, or Sax knows, or Bubbles knows, or there's plenty of people that will be able to answer a lot of the questions. Same thing with the gear. If you're a little nervous or you're trying to craft some of the gear, you don't know where to begin, just ask. You don't need the highest tier of gear to get this build rolling. As you saw with everybody else playing it, a bunch of people were able to start with lower tier gear and really get the build functional and up and running. Now, you don't need to play it Deadeye 2. You could also play it as the Old Man, aka the Templar, and also have insane success. My point being is there's so many different options and different ways that you can handle this build and put it together, and you should really try to make something cool out of it. But with that note, I'll leave you guys to it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. But I'm gonna get this video done, cut and edited out to you guys. And if you have any questions, I'll see you all on the live stream, or I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, friends.